guys, welcome back to another episode of Always Making. We are joined by another talented, awesome artist here in the basement. Casey from Seam Boat Willie is going to be joining us with another great conversation about all her passion and talented, like, creative stuff that she's doing here in the Utah area. You guys are going to kill me with this one. But we are going to get into that conversation real quick. We're going to do some housekeeping with a few things we've got, but we got through the fashion show, like everything we've been doing for Christy there. But that happened, and that was such a great success. And Christy, I'm very proud of everything you did.
Thank you. It was so much fun. It was really a blast.
That was a great night. Thank you guys for everyone who showed up for that show. I have all the talented makers for that show. That was really awesome.
Gosh. Yeah, all the designers were amazing. That was it was incredible. It was so much fun.
Big shout out to Victoria and Shelby for coming out and
thank you.
Doing their fittings for us and helping Christy out on that one.
Walk the runway like rock stars.
We have one show coming up on the 18th.
Yes, October 18th. We've got the Riverside Festival Market at the Pia Okwai, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Nature Center by Tracy Aviary. And that is, this is Saturday, October 18th.
Yes. Yeah. And then that starts at, I think, 12 o'clock. Check our social media for that one. So. That's at Steadfast Rebels. If you guys haven't followed us, go follow us on Instagram, and you guys can keep updated on that one. And we're still waiting to hear back on a few other shows that we might be coming up through the holiday season.
We'll see.
But I think that's everything for housekeeping. But let's get into this conversation. Casey, thank you for joining us today here in the studio. Seam Boat Willie.
Yes.
I butchered it a little bit at the start there, but we got it right. I like to get started with everything here on the show with how you got started. You've been doing this for quite some time. Disney inspired? Is that the right way to put that? So that we're not getting any legal
well, and we haven't even said what you do. So tell us what you do and how you got started.
Yeah.
So I make handcrafted silver jewelry. Most of them are carved out of wax, and then we cast them. We also do like hand fabrication as well. So actually 10 years ago, I moved back to the rural, like small town that I was from. It's not really so rural anymore, but moved back to a small town, and I was very bored. And so I started making fancy Minnie Mouse ears first. And that's where Seam Boat Willie came from. Okay. I know that there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you sew. No, not anymore. So yeah, I started making fancy Minnie Mouse ears. And when I moved up here to Salt Lake, I already had like a background in jewelry and metalworking. And I worked for another jeweler here in Salt Lake and kind of started doing my own thing and kind of officially transitioned over into jewelry in 2018, 2019.
So the jewelry that you make, I'm going to say you're underselling it because it is very, very impressive.
It's very intricate.
Very intricate, very well thought out. You're saying 10 years you've been at this process?
Yes, well, 10 years with Seam Boat Willie in general. Metal smithing a long time. I learned how to weld when I was 14, and so like I've loved metal for a long time. I took my first small metals class in college in 2011. The process that we mainly do now, lost wax casting, we've been doing that since 2019.
Where did the desire to get into jewelry start? Was that in college, or was that pre-college, high school, or did your parents where did that drive to get into jewelry start for you?
I've loved metal for a long time. So one set of my grandparents, they owned a salvage yard, and so I grew up around a lot of rusted metal, and there were welders and plasma cutters and all those fun things. So I wanted to learn how to use those, and through another family member, it's kind of a long story, but anyway, we went on a camping trip with a family member, and he worked for a university, and he brought one of his students, and she had gold ring or silver rings on every single finger. Mm-hmm. And I thought she was so cool. I was probably a teenager, and I was like, this girl's really cool. I want to have rings on all of my fingers. And so I started wearing more jewelry, and so I think I kind of fell in love with it there. And my freshman year of college, I took a small metals class, and I love jewelry making, but my major was in fine art and drawing, so I wasn't like necessarily majoring in metal. But then I picked it back up when I moved here.
Where did the Disney inspired like jewelry come from on that side of it?
So my other grandparents used to take me to Disneyland a lot. My grandma grew up in Southern California. She went to Disneyland the year it opened, and so I really like fell in love with Disney with those grandparents. It just felt like very nostalgic. And I think I started making the Minnie Mouse ears because that was, I don't know, that was just a fun outlet for me. And on Instagram, I found like a community. And so it just felt like natural to keep the business that I had and just pivot into jewelry. And especially like the stuff that we make now, I feel like we're filling a void. A lot of our pieces are kind of more for the alt different Disney community. They're not necessarily like super like cutesy and frilly. They're much different than anything you'd find at the parks. And I don't know, we just kind of like ran with that. And like a huge base of our products are like Halloween based. And so I think like that, I don't know, we're filling a void. It's just fun. Yeah.
I will say your pieces are very unique. I'm a huge Disney fan. I had a pass for like many years, and I think you're 100% nailed it. Like you have a very different style to what you see more often, not just in the parks, but also from other like Disney relevant, we'll say, artists. But yeah, I mean, so much fun. And like we said, like pieces are really intricate and like so much detail in these like tiny little pieces of metal. Like you have to get into more of the process because how do you get so much detail in these tiny little like rings and pendants?
So the main process that we do is called lost wax casting. So we carve tiny little pieces of wax, and that's how we get all those details in there. And then we make a mold of that, make duplicates, and use a vacuum casting system to essentially pour that molten silver into like a cavity where the wax used to be. It's a long process, but yeah, it's called lost wax casting. And yeah, that's, I think with fabrication you can get a lot of detail, but definitely wouldn't be able to get the kind of detail that we have in our pieces if we weren't doing lost wax.
And so once you have your mold, is it like infinitely repeatable, or will it start to like degrade? Like, can you only get so many pieces from that before you need to like make another mold? Or?
Our molds are pretty durable. They are silicone molds. So unless they're like cut improperly, which that's, I don't touch sharp things. My husband cuts the molds. That's just, yeah.
I am banned from X-Acto knives, so I feel you.
Yeah, I don't, no thank you. No sharp things for me. But yeah, like I think we do have like some molds that maybe have like some more like air pockets or things like that like we'll redo if it's a popular piece, and every time we make a duplicate there's an air bubble. We're like, okay, we can't deal with that anymore. Mm-hmm. But for the most part we have molds that we made 6 years ago that we're still using.
Wow, that's amazing.
So yeah.
Wow.
So you just revealed on your social your new dune buggy piece. Mm-hmm. We kind of saw that piece out there. How long was that process for you to go from concept to actually like developing and having your product now for you? How long have you been in the works with that product? Let's break down that process for you a little bit. So like kind of gives an idea of what that takes to like R&D to where you're at now.
Yeah. Honestly, that timeline can vary so much. We're kind of behind on Halloween this year because we're working on a big project, which I'll be able to talk about later. It's actually really exciting to like my Southern California fans, but we kind of are trying to make magic under pressure right now, and that's I always talk about making diamonds under pressure. That's what I do really well. So my husband and I were just talking about, okay, what pieces do we need to actually make for Halloween? I have some that I've started that have been sitting there for a few weeks, but the Dune Buggy, I think the night before, it was a Saturday night, we were discussing, okay, what should we make? And my husband does help me carve a lot of pieces. And so Sunday we stayed home all day and he just started the dune buggy and he was like, what if I put a skeleton in it? I was like, okay, I guess if you think you can do that, like, let's go for it. And so we talked about that piece maybe Saturday. We did have it as a suggestion from like our clients before, our customers before. But the skeleton, I think he just decided that would be fun to put in there. And so he carved that whole piece on Sunday. It probably was 8 or 10 hours of work. So it really varies. Like that one, I would say was a very fast turnaround. But some of our pieces, it takes a long time to discuss what that is going to look like. And for my husband and I really to come together on what that's going to look like. Because there are some pieces where I start it and he finishes it. I'm now calling him the finisher because he comes in and makes them all like nice and smooth so they're ready to cast. But then there are other pieces where he does it from start to finish and I come in and he's like, okay, do you like this? I'm like, no, I don't like that. So it depends. I would say the dune buggy that we just revealed is kind of an anomaly. We don't normally like make a whole piece quickly, in a day. Yeah. But I feel like we're feeling a lot of pressure to get new pieces out right now. So.
Yeah, the Halloween season definitely like brings out some of those like, ooh, I've got some new pieces to kind of. We feel that way when Craft Lake City comes around or DIY Fest comes around, and we're like, okay, we've got a couple months, and then we're like, oh, we've got 2 weeks before the show. Okay,
like,
get everything.
What are we
out.
actually making?
Yeah,
it's like it comes around. But it's one of those things. But I guess so. Like, let's get back to that question. Then, what's your average, like, I guess, production time for something then for your regular R&D to like completion on that?
I would say like a week and a half. Like we do have like a huge list of ideas, and so
don't we all? As
I know,
artists,
yeah,
right?
yeah, a giant list. So my husband and I will sit and talk about, okay, what are you inspired by right now? What's this next collection that we want to release? And then we kind of like narrow it down, and I will typically draw out what we're going to carve, and either I'll start it because I now do this full time. I started doing this full time in May. And my husband still has a regular job. So I have been trying to take the lead on all of the carving. So typically we'll start it and then he'll finish it. I would say like from when we pick the topic to when it's actually done can range anywhere from a week and a half to 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. And then so carving, let's go through that step then. So once it's carved and finished, then you're doing your silicone mold.
Yes.
And then what's that is it like a day process for the silicone mold?
It cures in like 60 to 90 minutes. So it kind of depends on the time of day.
Okay. And then looking at some of your stuff on social media, there's a tree
yes.
Of all of your pieces. So then you have to then repeat that mold, right? Like
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you're taking that one mold you make, and then you're having to duplicate that. Am I using right terms?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just trying to understand.
it's a lot. Yeah.
And then you're making a tree of those pieces, and then you're making that final, I guess, so that you can have multiple of that
in one pour.
In one pour, right?
Yeah. So we'll take one mold. We use our wax injector, and we'll make multiples of that piece. And then we'll decide what pieces we need to cast, and then we will attach them all to like one piece of wax, and that's how we make the tree. And then we make an investment, which is essentially like a plaster of Paris.
Okay.
And that encapsulates the wax tree. And then that whole thing, it's in a, I want to say it's steel. I hope it's steel. A steel like cylinder called a flask. That goes in the kiln, and that is in the kiln for like 15-ish hours, and the wax melts out, and so it leaves a cavity where that tree was, and then we pour that molten silver into it, and then
so that's how you're getting multiple pieces in one like silver
pour. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so then we have to cut them all off and
then
smooth them out, and then attach them to whatever
yeah
final jewelry piece they're gonna become.
Yeah,
because that's not even like the final piece, right? So then you're gonna make either the ring or a pendant or
correct. Yeah, so it's not done at casting. There's still several days after that
to get to that final piece. Kind of.
Yeah.
So there's multiple and that's where I'm getting to that, where like this is not just a one and done easy process to get to those
No.
finished pieces. And it's good. There's so much detail work that goes into those little tiny little charms and little rings and all the little
Yeah.
steps that you're doing for those like really cool pieces.
On
that
that
you do.
note, sorry.
Yeah.
So like, what's like the smallest like carving that you've done, and what's probably the largest carving that you've done?
That's a great question. So, if we can make it happen, I'm making a little like trick or treat pail, and I want a little candy charm that is like it's attached to the charm, and you can put it in the
Oh my
basket.
gosh, that would be
And
so
so like
cute.
the piece of candy is really, really small. So that will probably be like the smallest, but we have a 0 that I want to say is under 10 millimeters or like around 10. So he's super small.
Yeah.
So cool. Our largest piece that we've ever cast was actually my husband's first carving. He carved a delicate arch for a friend, and it was a pretty like decent sized pendant. As far as like what we sell with Seam Boat Willie, probably around like the skull bow situation that I have here. It's like generally like the size of jewelry that we're making.
For audio listeners, we're looking at her
Like,
ring on
yeah.
her finger.
It's like maybe about the size of a dime, a little bit bigger than a dime, maybe. Like if you kind of
Like I would say like the circumference of like a quarter
Yeah.
is like generally like
The biggest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or not circumference, diameter.
Diameter.
Diameter of a quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. We're artists, guys. We're not math people.
That's not true. I use so much math in sewing. But other than that.
So there's so much little details that go into that. I like to go back to where you started. Do you remember that first piece and like how that felt for you doing that first piece to like where your pieces are now and how it feels to kind of like finish those pieces now?
It honestly feels really surreal. So like my very first jewelry piece that I sold under Seam Boat Willie, I called it my mouse outline ring, and that's like a fabricated ring. That's just a Mickey head outline. And I have some of those now, and I look at them and I'm like, ugh. I can't. They still have people asking for them, and I'm like, no, I don't want to make that anymore. Don't make me. But I mean, the stuff that we're doing now, I honestly like am in disbelief. Like one of the carvings that I started that I feel really proud of is like our hippo ring. And I still like I look at that, I'm like, I can't believe that I did that. And even with like my husband, his name is Chris, like carving the Doom buggy. Yesterday, after he like cut the mold and everything, I was like, you're incredible. Like, did you know that? Like, you made that. So I just feel really like proud and humbled. Like I feel like we have come so far and we still have so much further to go, and it's exciting.
Yeah. And do you remember like your first set of tools to like the tools that you're using now? Like
Yeah. So Chris bought me a ring mandrel and like a rawhide hammer. It's called a
yeah.
No, it's not. Yeah. The ring mandrel and the rawhide hammer. Chris bought that for me for Christmas. And yeah, now we have thousands of dollars in equipment.
Yeah.
But I still use that every day.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We've done the same thing where we've like started with some like real basic tools and you're like, and then once you kind of like upgrade to some of the newer tool and like or more expensive tools, and you're like, oh, I kind of realize like why these tools are more expensive now.
Yeah.
And you kind of like, oh, I get it. You have to start somewhere though. Like that's the reality of what it is. And like without those like basic tools to get you started, you don't know how far you can go kind of thing without it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Is there a tool in your toolbox that like you can't live without now though?
That's a really great question. I don't know. I mean, I can't do anything without a torch, but I think that's like a given. I now have, it's like a little like bench sander, and it has made my life so much easier. I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your market experience, because you're not only just selling online, but you are selling at markets. And when was your first market that you did like actually selling live for people?
The very first one is I was selling ears, and it was at Tuacahn in St. George.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that
Is that
one.
the casino?
The theater.
Theater.
The
Okay.
theater.
Yeah,
theater.
it's
Yes,
like the
okay.
amphitheater that's
Okay.
outdoors.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay, okay.
Yeah, my grandma
Like, I've
helped me
seen the
set up my
signs
booth.
for it.
Yeah. So that was like my very first market. But as far as jewelry, I would say, I think like Craft Lake City was
Okay.
my first market. Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the first one that you did. How was that experience for you, and like what did you learn from that first go at?
I learned I needed a response to, does Disney let you sell these? Like, do they know about this? That was like, honestly, that's probably my most asked question at markets. So I really had to figure out how to handle that.
Really? Like
Yeah.
that seems so funny. Like I get, well, does Disney know you sell?
Yeah, like people will be like, you're gonna get sued, do you know that? And I'm just like, oh, okay. Like,
Thanks.
yeah. I think like that, just that whole using someone else's like
IP in the
IP
sense,
as inspiration. Yeah, like some people are so concerned about that.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's very funny. Like going, like you go to FanX and cons and like all these
Yeah.
different things. There is a legality behind IP, but there is also like fan art is a legal like
Mhm.
gray area that is out there that
Yeah.
like you can get away with kind of thing, and you're also creating your own version of it that's like okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's like weird in the sense, but that people are so
But yeah, look
like,
at Artist Alley. I mean, like every other booth, if not nearly every booth, has some form of fan art, and it's like,
I laugh because like you go to
This is
D23
acceptable.
convention and there's a whole artist alley that you're selling at an actual convention that Disney puts on,
Yeah.
that's filled with fan art, and Disney is like, they're not coming with their lawyers and like on every booth
they're not like, haha,
cease
gotcha.
Yeah.
It's like same thing at like
And
Star Wars
you get a cease and
Celebration, like
desist,
they're
and
not
you
going
get
through
a
and
cease
going,
and desist.
hey, every artist here, say cease and desist, stop selling like Star Wars art at this Star Wars like legal of convention. Like, come on guys, like let's be real here. But
Yeah.
that's really funny that like so many people are concerned about that.
That is on. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably my number one question.
Yeah. So with shows you do now that you're doing, what's I guess the biggest thing you've learned now, like selling your stuff at shows? That's not that question.
Honestly, I feel like I still have a lot to learn because I don't do as many markets as I feel like other people in like this community, in this space do. I mean, I think just like roll with the punches. Every market is different, and I am an anxious person, so I like really like to think everything out beforehand. And I think one of my biggest things with markets is I need to like streamline. I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of like my first booth at Craft Lake City.
I can't say we have. Yeah.
I did too much. And I think sometimes doing too much is like good, but especially like it was my first Craft Lake City. I was upstairs and I basically made a huge, and by me making, I designed it, my husband made it, a popsicle like stand booth. So we like took inspiration from Toy Story Land at Disney World, and we made these giant popsicles and made like a whole backdrop. And while it was really cool and I love to take it to markets, sometimes it's like too much. And I think like learning that of like, okay, is this worth it? Figuring out my setup has been like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I will say setup for us has been one of those learning things where it feels like we're constantly changing.
Yeah.
Like a little bit. We have kind of a dialed version now that it's been 4 years of
I
constantly
was gonna say, yeah, it feels like every other market we're like, well, maybe we tweak this or
Change
change
a little
that,
bit.
or
Yeah.
and like we were talking before we started recording, like we did a show this weekend that was like rain and like the most rain Salt Lake has had in 124 years, and I go, you know what, the setup I was thinking I wanted to build probably might not be the best situation if we're going to run into a rainy day thing, because I ran into some things I'm like, this setup doesn't quite work in the rain. I'm like, okay, maybe I don't want to do this kind of thing. But I'm like, also, how many rainy day shows are we doing?
Yeah,
in that
hopefully
setup?
none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, weather is a thing we have to consider. But I mean, I get it. Like, you do learn like pretty consistently every show you do. And you're like, I can change that. And I mean, yeah, sometimes bigger isn't always better sometimes. And you're like, could be a little standoffish sometimes in that sense as well.
I think having like a big setup like that can be intimidating. And I also think with my jewelry, it maybe was like a little bit of a distraction.
Oh, yeah, because your stuff's so small.
Yeah, so it's
And
so
then
small.
It gets lost.
Yeah, so people would come like, "What are you selling?" Just
I can't find your stuff.
Yeah.
There's this big popsicle. Where's
Yeah.
Since that first show, have you changed? Like, what have you changed since that first show with Craft Lake?
We kept the same setup. We went with a larger booth because I think that the first year we had just a 5x10 and we did a 10x10, just to help spread out. But just trying to be on top of our stuff. We're always the people that are like making jewelry there at the booth, like assembling our chains, and so just starting production a lot earlier was like something that we changed. But like for Craft Lake, for longer markets, I was not willing to settle on a different display. But for smaller markets, I'm willing to settle on a different display.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah. The bigger shows, we definitely, like the 3-day shows, I can see where that you want to kind of bring your best. I get that.
Yeah.
I do understand that kind of thing.
Well, in a market that big too, you want to stand out from the crowd. So
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
How many shows do you think you're doing a year, like at this point now?
2.
No, and that's fair. We have a few guests on the show that's kind of what they do. They're about maybe 2-3 shows, and then we do have a few guests that are like 2-3 shows a month, and that's a fair thing to be, depending on like the type of like stuff they are. Some of our guests are like online primarily, and that's a healthy business for them, and some are more of a local, like constantly doing the show circuit for them, and that's fine, trying to figure out what works best for them. We have a weird mix because for us, online is a completely different thing we sell than what we sell at shows, because Christy does so much more seamstress work online and custom cosplay stuff and her custom hoods and everything online. We never get a chance to take that to market because our market stuff is completely
I know.
different.
I always feel like I don't want to tell people at markets to like check out our Etsy store because I'm like, it's not the same business. Like
Yeah.
it is, but it's not.
Yeah. And like we never, like everything we sell at shows always sells out at shows before we even get it
in the Etsy
photographed and
shop.
put
It's
it
like, well,
into our Etsy shop, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, do you have this stuff online? Maybe, like if we get a chance to remake it and put it up online kind of thing. So it's one of those, we totally understand that kind of like delicate balance of like what makes sense in that, because we're kind of playing a both worlds gamble with both of it. And like for like a lot of businesses, it's hard, like being a small business in that sense of like what works. You kind of go that direction and keep like pushing that way till you get maybe a little ounce of free time to like maybe try something different.
Yeah.
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 And so
free time never matter.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit off camera also, like you've kind of have a similar setup that we have, where your basement you've turned into your studio space and everything.
Yeah.
How does that lifestyle work for you, like being able to have like your studio space function as your like living space as well? Does that work out pretty well for you?
Yeah, like I kind of have designated spaces. So I have an entire workroom that I can shut the door and it's there. I do have like a small like kitchenette downstairs, and some of my jewelry stuff does stay out there, like my ultrasonic and different things like that. And then my other setup is in the garage, and it's kind of like in the back corner of the garage. So it's separate. So I feel like I am able to keep those areas separate when needed, but it's hard when you have a studio in your home because those things always leach into other areas of your home. So yeah, I mean, there always ends up being jewelry stuff upstairs. But I do love it, especially now that it's my full-time gig, because my dogs will come downstairs and they just like lay there and hang out with me all day, and I love that, and I can just be in sweats and I like that. Yeah.
We definitely find some stuff on the coffee table upstairs while we're watching TV, or camera gear will like appear up on the kitchen table, or random things. Yeah.
I feel like it's also been the opposite more recently, that Juniper's gotten older and now it's more of like her wanting to come downstairs and be down here. So we're like, okay, well now we have to figure out like spaces for her down here, and kind of just it mingles.
That like blend of things kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so trying to mix with stuff. But it also is one of those like, oh, you know what, the after hours when I get home from work, because Christy is full time here where I do have that job that does kind of mix, same thing with your husband and like in that situation where it's like, okay, after hours it's like, oh, 9 o'clock at night I can come down here and work while Juniper's like sleeping for her evening nap. But it is one of those kind of blending of worlds with that situation. How do you find like work, like life balance with having everything at home? Does it find time to like have that work-life balance?
Sometimes it depends. Right now there's no work-life balance. Halloween is like our busiest season, so like my husband is home working for us right now, and we typically like will work until like 9ish at night, try to stop earlier and eat dinner, but like right now like that doesn't exactly happen, so we have like really long days. But normally, especially with me doing this full time now, I try to set hours for myself, and like at this time I'm going to stop and I will actually get to spend time with Chris, and like we're not just working on jewelry, so we try to make time. I also like I love to go to markets, and so I always like try to make time to like go out and like support my friends and everything, and I feel like that I consider that like life and not work. So I just try to plan things.
Yeah, we try to do the same.
Yeah.
Halloween, like I know that is your biggest season for you and everything. Is that you ramp up your designs and try to get as much out for Halloween, or do you try to go through the year and Halloween is year round for you? How do you plan for your Halloween?
Yeah, so normally we do a lot better. Last year Halloween started for us in August, and so we did a couple different drops. So like first one being like end of August, and then another one in September, and then one in October. We also do halfway to Halloween, and that is in April. So we kind of have like 2 time periods where we do Halloween, and Halloween season typically lasts like 2 to 3 months for us around Halloween, and then another month in April. This year's a weird year, so it's like a month, but might as well say here. So for the holiday season, I want it to be haunted holiday.
Okay.
So we're just gonna continue the spookiness into the holidays. So
nice.
I love it. It's like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Exactly.
Just all through.
That's what it's gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah.
Nice.
Skip November, just go straight through.
Yeah.
So I noticed on your social, there's a few different like styles and collections and different things you do. How do you come about your thought process on going about creating your collections? I saw some Star Wars inspired stuff, and like it's Disney inspired everything.
Yeah.
But when you're creating a collection, where do you kind of go about like, I'm going to do this many pieces, I'm going to go this style? Is it I'm looking at what's trending with movies, I'm looking what's trending, what's like coming out with Disney, or is it just, hey, this is what's inspiring me at the moment right now and this is where I'm going?
Kind of both.
Okay.
So I mean, like we feel like in May and like end of April we have to do Star Wars because that's May the 4th, so we have to.
Yep.
It just kind of depends on what's going on. So I really wanted to do a like opening day like Disneyland collection in July, and so that's when Disneyland's birthday is. So just kind of like thinking about what's going on around those times. Like a lot of times in January we've been doing Festival of the Arts collection, and that's kind of that's unique to Epcot, but we can like play with like artsy inspired pieces there, and it does kind of depend on what's going on or whatever I want to do. Like in March is like, that's when my birthday is. And I typically will just make whatever I want to make.
I was gonna say, you also mentioned like you just had a new product that dropped. How often do you do like new product drops throughout the year, would you say?
I would say we release new pieces like maybe every 1.5 months or like 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still a lot. Like that keeps you, I'm assuming that keeps you busy throughout the year.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, like, ideally I would love to do one collection a month. But we're hand carving every piece, and then we get those orders, and then we have to make all the orders, and especially with rings, like, you're sizing everything and polishing takes time. So there's a lot of time management, and as you know, with art, things always take much longer than you anticipate.
Every time.
So yeah, I mean, ideally it would be every month, but right now, like, every month and a half, 2 months.
Is the future of what you're doing looking like at a scalable like idea for you, or do you want to keep this at like the scale that you are at? I guess what I'm looking at, or the question I'm looking, do you want to see like a bigger size to this where you're like employees and like a warehouse and larger pieces, or is it more you want to be the hands-on making it yourself kind of size of this business?
That is a really great question. Ultimately, I would still like to carve every single piece, but we do talk about like having production assistants, having someone help with packaging. And then I'm also like launching another brand next year that is also jewelry, but not Disney related. And so I am going to be pulled in 2 different directions. So ultimately I would like to have a small team, but I do want to keep it handmade. And I would like to touch every single piece.
Yeah. We've talked to a lot of different artists that get to a point where it's hard because you want to create the things yourself, and you don't want to lose that touch of like being able to have everything with your own hands.
Yeah.
But as more demand comes in, it's like, how do you give that up and it still be that handmade like feel and like be able to have your touch on it? So it's always that like give or take of where that goes.
Yeah.
And being able to, do you please the customer or do you please like your art? Because there's always that, like, we have this discussion of like, if you increase the cost of your goods and the demand is still there and people are willing to pay for it, then is your like, do you increase your cost higher?
Yeah, like what do you do?
Well,
So you could,
yeah, it's like, I don't know. there's never that, like, no one has an answer for you as an artist kind of in that sense. So but like, because I have a couple blacksmith friends that are like they just keep like, do we get another person? It's like, is it still my knife if I'm the person not making that knife kind of thing? And
yeah,
it's like, am I still this like the silversmith if I'm not the person making that? Like, I don't know. No one can give me a clear answer in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know either. I do think I think that we would always carve our own pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think have someone else like do the casting and stuff. So
yeah, I think it's still, if you're the original carver in that sense, I think it's still your
design,
your piece. And I think that when it at a scalable thing for a lot of these industries and stuff like that, I think that is how a lot of that goes.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, because it is your original piece. That's your hand carving, because when you get down to it, like, a mold is not like yours, like you carve, but a mold is a clone of your carving. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
it's like an artist who does a drawing or a painting, but then makes like
a
prints of their paint.
Like
make prints of their painting.
Yeah, I don't know if we're getting into the weird, like, psychology of it.
What's like, original, what's not. Yeah,
but yeah, it's interesting as you grow, because we are now 10 years into this side of things, and it's growing pretty good for you. And as it grows, there's always that question of how far do you want to go with like the scalability of what you do. And it's always a question I have as we get bigger people in here to have that conversation with, because I mean, there's always people watching that are like, hey, I might be on that cusp of like taking that next step and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah. do you have future plans for? Well, I don't want to. I know you teased a little bit about it, and I'm not trying to sneak anything out of.
Yeah.
But are there other future plans that you can share with people out there that might be interested in what you're doing and everything with some stuff?
Future plans. Well, we have been working with an organization in Anaheim that
Disneyland.
no, I wish. I honestly, there have been a lot of small shops in which they've been like scooped up and licensed.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be opposed to that. I don't really know, but it is an organization that Disneyland is sponsoring something for. But yeah, it's really cool, and there may be, if this goes well, we may work with them again in the future. It is like a Halloween centric event, so yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Very
but
cool.
Yeah,
Can't wait to hear all about it.
yeah, I know. I'm honestly, every time I talk about it, I like cry, and so I can't talk about it. But yeah, I would love to work with more artists. I have talked to a few friends that are artists here locally, and we've talked about turning some of their art into jewelry. So like that's something that I really have like a passion for. I also would love to teach classes, so that's something that we're kind of like toying with. But yeah, and then I'm also just focused on launching my other brand. So building my other brand, doing more launches, more one-of-a-kind pieces.
Have you shared what that other brand is yet, or no?
Kind of. Yeah, I've
Okay.
shared a little bit about it. It's called Reggie Jasper.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look it up on social media, it's not totally like fleshed out. I did get my branding done here locally by an amazing graphic designer, but yeah, we're still working out the website and everything.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll have links available when they become available
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
stuff and
yeah.
everything for that and everything. But is there any like words of wisdom, inspiration, or any kind of like knowledge that you want to drop on any inspiring artists that could be potentially listening or watching this video or podcast listening out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think just keep going, believe in yourself, and reach out to other people in the community. I feel like I would not be where I am if I hadn't started working for another jeweler, and she honestly has been really amazing, and I have other jeweler friends that I reach out to all the time. And I think just not being afraid to ask questions and to play and to learn.
I love it. I think that's great advice.
Yeah. Is there anything we might have missed in this conversation with you, Casey?
I don't know. I feel like I have a really big scope of work. I don't know.
Well, if there's anything we missed, I mean, please just message us, reach out, anything, text, comment on the video or anything like that. If people have any comments or anything, where's a good place that they can reach you on social media?
I'm most active on Instagram, so it's Seam Boat Willie, like steamboat, but no T at the beginning. Seam.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But
And we'll have that link obviously in the description below.
we do appreciate you coming down and having the conversation with us and sharing all the knowledge you have. And we do look forward to anybody out there having any questions or anything like that for you and reaching out and seeing all the cool stuff that you have and any future endeavors that you got and hearing all about that cool new thing that you don't want to share with us. And well, we do look forward to seeing what you've got in the future with that. But guys, thanks for joining us on this episode. Casey, thanks for joining us here in the studio. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. If you guys have any people, man, I am butchering this one today. If you
Almost
guys know, if you guys know any local talented creator makers or artists in the local Salt Lake or greater Salt Lake area, please let them know about us. We'd love to have a conversation about their passions or wow, I'm really butchering, but let them know about us, and we'll see
Just
you
say
guys
goodnight.
on the next episode. Bye guys.
Thanks for watching. Bye.